It's recording. It's recording! Alright, welcome to the Brown and White React Show. I actually just made this YouTube channel yesterday with her, and the reason for this channel is it's confusing out there, right? Like, don't act like you know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I just want to be able to sit here with you and figure out what's going on. So, that's my reason for creating this YouTube channel. And with that being said, my name is Cheyenne.
And my name is Megan, and I've been wanting to do YouTube for a really long time. I mean, I'm glad that I'm finally doing it. He finally pushed me to do it, and I'm happy that
Right, so it's funny, right?
Yeah.
I actually was able to sit down and actually identify a lot of reasons I was not able to do it. And one of the reasons I am now able to do is I finally sat down and made a decision myself that I'm no longer going to let these haters dictate how I live my life. I'm finally choosing to let me dictate how I want to lead and live my life. So that's my reason number 2. With that being said, I actually got quite a lot of videos sent over from my friends, but we're gonna get into this video that's really blowing up. It's gaining a lot of traction right now. I don't even know what's blowing up. I haven't watched it yet. I want to watch it with you guys and figure out what's happening exactly. So this video was sent over to me by my friend Muhammad. I'm gonna put his name actually right there, and then let's get right into it. It seems to be a takedown on abortion between I believe a conservative and a liberal. I mean, I don't like to label these things, but let's try to go at it from the most unbiased perspective and try to figure out what exactly is going on in this video. So before we get into it, what are your thoughts? What do you know about abortion? Like, what do you think it is?
I think people who are really extreme on the pro-choice side, which I used to be extremely leftist, but I've changed my views a little bit as I've seen kind of both sides. And I think those people who are extreme on the left side, I consider them a different category almost. Like, I consider them leftist, really woke, and I'm just really interested in seeing what this conversation will be.
All right, let's just get into it.
Ask you a question. What species is a fetus?
What species is the fetus? Megan, what species is the fetus?
Aren't there multiple different species of fetuses?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I mean, they could very well be protesting about cat fetuses. You never know. Let's get into it.
So if it's a fetus and it's alive, wouldn't that be a human life? So you're okay with disposing of a human life?
An undeveloped human life that can't sustain itself?
All right, so argument number 1, an undeveloped human life that can't sustain itself. So, what do you think of that? Is that fair?
I think it's not fair to look down upon something for needing a mother to sustain it. Like, that's how it develops into a human being.
It's fair to look at nature, right? At least what I think. Like, if you had a cat and they had kittens, and the kittens can't sustain themselves, should the cat just leave him or eat him or just forget about him?
No, that's
interesting,
messed
right?
up.
Let's get into it.
What about people that are clinically mentally retarded? Should we dispose of them? Why? They can't live without function of other individuals.
They're not parasites.
I need to pause here because I worked with people who had intellectual disabilities, and honestly, I think this is a really good argument from his side because, I mean, it gave me more perspective when I started listening to that part of it too. Because as I told you, I was very leftist, and I think that that's wrong to look at life like a parasite.
To look at life like a parasite?
To look at fetuses like parasites. And I was taught this in school, and I think that it can be a very negative perspective.
Wait, you were taught in school that fetuses are parasites?
Technically, yeah, I was. But now that I see if people just look at fetuses as parasites, that's messed up, because even if they, honestly, I think it's just a messed up perspective, because if we're thinking of fetuses as parasites, then we're thinking of them as unhuman, basically. Just like a bug, a virus. No.
So you're saying it's a dehumanizing way to refer to a human life?
Yes, it really is.
Okay.
They're what?
They're not a parasite.
They're not a parasite?
Life force out of somebody else's.
Wait, so you think a 6-week fetus is a parasite?
By definition, I think so.
So, you were once a 6-week fetus.
All right.
You were once a 6-week fetus, and I'm glad that your mother decided to have you. Are you? No?
No. So I like how he just throws it back to her because it's always considered like a fetus is something that's separate from you. Well, you used to be a fetus at one point. So did you want to be born? Her answer is no. You know, it's kind of giving me an idea of what her mindset is sort of like and what his mindset is sort of like. So let's just keep going. Obviously, she said no because she's sad about her life. So something's happened to her that doesn't want her to be alive.
Yeah,
So let's just keep
that's
watching.
sad.
You
Alright, argument number 2. Life is awful, life is hard. Is that a good enough reason to kill babies or abort?
No, there's adoption.
That's a solution to not aborting and choosing to give your baby away. So that's a good option. That's a good answer, right? You nailed it. So life is hard. I can't raise it, but someone else can, right? Someone else wants a baby. Someone else can't have a baby because they're infertile or whatever reason they have. They are more than happy to raise that child. So, I think that's a horrible argument, honestly. Life is awful. Life is hard. But instead of tackling with life is hard, you're tackling with babies. Like, that makes no sense to me. So inflation is up the roof. It's hard. It's expensive. You know, houses are more expensive to buy. But instead of going against the people, the perpetrators who have designed the system, let's go against something that's weaker. We obviously can't target the government, right? That's too strong. I don't want to get locked up. But if I abort my baby, I won't get locked up. Like, who's gonna question me, right? So I just don't like this whole perspective of choosing to pick on the weaker entity. That's what I think. Because if life is hard, change your life. Change how the system is. Why are we aborting babies because life is hard?
Yeah, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. There should be other solutions for that.
All right, let's go on.
Okay, life is hard, but if you wish you were aborted,
I don't think the world would be terribly different if I didn't.
see, this is where you and I totally disagree. I want you to have the right to life. I'm glad you're alive. You're not. I want more people to live.
I'm glad that I'm alive, but I don't think the world would be terribly different if I didn't exist.
You don't know that. Do you know how many abortions happen? Just do you know?
All right, good question. How many abortions happen every day? I honestly am just going to go on a limb here and say I don't know. What do you think? It's like 10, 12?
Never
5?
thought about it, which is kind of odd. I've just never thought about
But
it.
if you were to give a number?
I don't know. Somewhere in the hundreds.
I'm not even going to guess, guys. I don't know.
How many abortions happen every day?
Every day, no, I know there's probably millions.
Millions.
Okay, so there's 3,000 a day.
All right, that makes more
Do you think
sense.
that's too much?
Yeah, millions. Jesus.
Okay, do you
No,
want
it's like
more
3,000.
people or less people in the world?
Probably less. I think there's too many. We can't feed them. We can't house
So
them.
same argument, right? We can't feed them, we can't house them. It kind of relates to the second one, where it was saying like life is hard and life is tough, right? It relates to the same one. We can't feed them, we can't house them. Whose fault is that? Have you sat down and played video games your entire life to the point that you can't afford an apartment? Or you can't afford to buy your own food? Or you've voted for a government that has not provided that for you? Whose fault is that? You have to pick and choose who you're battling against. And I think picking babies is the wrong thing. I want your perspective because I'm obviously fired up right now, so I want your thoughts on this.
I think that, yeah, population control shouldn't be a reason ever for abortion.
So leave that up to Bill Gates, right? That's what I think.
Well, yeah, that's something else. You don't freaking population control like that. She's choosing the reasons that really shouldn't be used for abortion, right? Like, she's not saying, oh, if the mother is gonna die. She's not saying, oh, if there's like rape or incest. She's saying like for population control or oh, because I'm depressed. That's not. Those shouldn't be the reasons. Like that's not
Right.
why people should do that.
Right, you nailed it, right? So I actually agree with you there. So if it's actually supported by a lot of religious texts as well, and not just Islamic. I'm also talking about Christianity, where if your life is at risk or your honor is at risk, let's say you've been raped, or it includes instances of incest where you know that the baby is going to be deformed or something's wrong with it,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a life-threatening to not just the mother but also the baby. In that instance, it's actually encouraged for you to get an abortion. Those things are justified. But if you're giving me reasons where life is hard, or I sit down and play video games all day, that's why I'm gonna get an abortion because I don't have a job now. That was your life. Just because you led your life with certain principles, or you live in a society that is fucked up, that does not mean your baby cannot have a better life than you could have ever imagined. There is a possibility your baby could have a way better life than you if they grow up in a different environment. So, right, so, yeah, that makes no sense to me.
I mean, I understand that some people are freaked out because, foster care system is messed up. I get that, but, that's better than ending their life. But also, that's the foster care system needing to be fixed. That is separate itself from choosing an abortion. That itself is separate. And that system should be fixed, not ending people's lives because of that.
So this is interesting, right? Okay, so you mentioned that. And there's no set amount of time a kid will remain in foster care. If you actually are able to improve the conditions of a foster care, or if you're actually able to incentivize, tell the government or force the government through protesting or more tax paying, whatever, are able to figure out how to fix that system, it's not going to be an awful life anymore. So it kind of brings me back to what I first said is, what do you choose to target? Do you choose to target kids, or do you choose to target the system that can be improved? So I'm just going to keep going.
You want less human beings.
Yes.
You understand that's a eugenics argument.
Yeah, right. So he's the exact same thing I said.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not trying to pick out which particular people we should get rid of. I'm just saying the population has skyrocketed in the past.
Again, not
100
population.
years.
Thank goodness more human beings are able to live longer. I think life's a beautiful thing.
That's great, but we're killing the planet and we're killing each other.
So you would put hierarchy planet over babies. Like trees over babies.
Like, right. So, if you want to classify this as argument number 3, trees over babies. I think they're referring to climate change in this regard.
Yeah.
So I'll go first, right? So unfortunately, I went to college, sadly. So I have learned about climate change and all this. Hold on. For those of you who have trouble believing it, right. Have to put it out there. So it's interesting, right? Because the climate's always changed, and that's what I think. If you look back into history, we're coming out of an ice age, and even before humans have existed, climate has always sort of changed. So I think that's kind of irrelevant for this. So I just want you to have your take on it.
I mean, regardless of what our opinions are on climate change, I have a slightly different perspective. I mean, I know that it's naturally happening, but I know that we have escalated that to such an extreme degree. But also, I think that these two things shouldn't be related and shouldn't be in the same argument.
Right. So I agree with you. You nailed it again. So it is there. It's like, I like to give this analogy to people when I explain climate change, right? It's a ball that's rolling down a hill, and you come and you push it, so it starts rolling down a little bit faster. You come kick it, it's rolling down faster. But that does not mean that if you didn't push it, it wouldn't have went to the end of the hill. It was gonna go to the end of the hill regardless. Climate change would happen regardless of humans being there or not being there. So again, the argument is not valid. So far we have 3 arguments. We've dismissed it from my perspective, and I don't know how much gravity you think any of those arguments had.
Yeah, I mean, again, we dismiss the population control should not be used for population control, should not be used because you feel your life is a mess or you're depressed, and it should not be used to help with climate change. I mean, it doesn't matter how many people are here. If there are 5 people on the earth, but they're doing awful things to the earth, then the earth is still going to be affected. And if there are a ton of people on this earth, but they're super sustainable and actually helping the planet, then, that argument is thrown out the window.
Interesting. That's actually really nice. It's interesting you point that out. That's good.
I'm just asking because you say that more human beings has contributed to
I don't think we should be actively trying to create more people on purpose for when having more humans.
That's kind of what human beings do, though.
Right. But not everybody's I need to pump out more kids just so we have more humans.
Do you know 99% of abortions more or less, are because of convenience, because people just don't want to have the child.
Cops looking over like, who the hell is screaming like that? He's ready to go. He's ready to jump in the crowd. I don't know if you heard that maniac in the background.
Yeah.
And do you think it's okay just because something is hard to be able to dismiss of another human being? What gives you the right, or somebody else the right, to dispose of another human being with a totally different DNA that will never be created again? If I decide you are someone that shouldn't be around, should I have the right to be able to remove you? So is the baby in the womb. And you said it's a life, and a human life. Well,
Alright, so to be fair, if you watch the whole video, at the start of the video, she does say, he asks her if you consider the fetus to be a human life, potential human life, and she did say yes. So she kind of went from a yes to like a kind of. So she did kind of back off from what she was saying, and I really don't respect that. Like, I rather respect that you stay firm on your answer. So the fact that she backtracked is something that I don't respect, I look down on. But with that being said, argument number 2 is sentience, right? So this is a common argument that is brought up in abortion, is it's not sentient yet. Doesn't have the ability to think, or doesn't have a personality. So therefore it doesn't, it's not an individual. So it's okay to abort. That's argument number 2, right? What do you think?
I think that I don't know. I do have strong opinions on this. I mean, you're more visibly fired up. I am fired up. It's just more internalized. Like, I'm like, oh, this kind of... I don't like the way that people are celebrating abortion, and that's really sad to see. Like, I didn't think that people even could have the potential to be that.
Right, so you see the person
but,
yelling in
yeah.
the background, right? I don't know if he was celebrating abortion or not, but I don't know if you guys have kept in touch with these protests, but a lot of the times when they gather outside the White House or the Senate, they're actually celebrating abortion as soon as if something's given out or rights given out. And I've always thought that it's not something to celebrate. It's always something that is unfortunate. Like, abortion is a sad thing.
It's a tragedy.
It's a tragedy that you had to get rid of that child. So that kind of brings me back to a thought I had. So what's more important in terms of the hierarchy of importance? What do you think is more important? Do you think a human life, like a baby, is more important, or do you think a woman's choice is more important?
See, you're changing my opinion on this, because I consider, even to now, like, myself pro-choice, because I think that there should still be a choice, just that's the last choice. But now, if you're saying which do I consider higher priority, yeah, it's the life. It's the life that I consider the higher priority. Yeah.
no, just because a baby can't live on its own does not mean it's not a person. You're okay with disposing of human life. I applaud you for being very clear with your indispensable fervor of human beings. You do understand this is how, like, genocides begin.
This is how genocides begin.
Yeah, that's a strong note for a video to end on. I mean, because it's true. It's the messed up way that people are preaching, like, that abortion should take place is to control the population, or to pick and choose what children should be here and which shouldn't. It's just really messed up. Like, it's so sad to see people, to do that. It's really sad.
Alright guys, so with that being said, we have reached the end of that video. It was a 3-minute long video. I applaud you guys for, if you actually found value in this video. I'm glad you did. With that being said, always be sure to send me stuff my way. Leave it down in the comments below. Send it to me. If you know me personally, you know where else to reach me. Go ahead and send it over. We'll react to them all. Comments, leave them all. Hate comments, love them. Leave all of them. This is what gives us content to react to, right? So go right ahead and send me more suggestions my way. But I think I've personally, I think I've done a fair job at laying down what I think, what the arguments were. I was able to dissect the video in different sectors and gave my opinion on it. I think you did a fair job, so kudos to you.
Thanks.
But with that being said, this was sort of our intro video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, follow and let me know what else you'd want me to react to. Anything else you want to do for a closing comment?
my closing comment is that I think that people should just get out of their heads and start being more open-minded and start questioning their own thoughts, because I feel like so few people really do. They're just like whatever their friends like, you know.
And it's interesting, right? Because I don't know if you guys noticed, I was fired up during this video. And the reason for that is I'm a great proponent of taking personal ownership and taking personal responsibility. Videos like this, arguments like this, where there is an aspect of taking personal responsibility, gets me fired up. So if you guys genuinely enjoyed me getting pissed off and getting fired up, make sure to send me more content that is related to taking personal ownership and responsibility, and you will see more of that. So now guys know how to get me fired up. So thank you for more content like this, Muhammad. I appreciate you sending me this, and I'm looking forward to the feedback, and send me more. I think that's all, right?
Yep, that's all.
That's all. All right, transition.